Welcome back to the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I want to talk about leadership today. Interestingly, I had someone refer to me the other day as a leadership coach, and I have not thought of myself as a leadership coach. I do a lot of leadership and team building and executive coaching, and a lot of that in the process of my business, but I never really thought of myself as a leadership coach. I've always called myself a transformational coach. I'm helping somebody get from where they are to where they want to be. And in Spontaneous Brilliance, we're always about helping people recognize and express their own unique creative genius. So I'm not thinking all the time about what makes a good leader. So I started thinking about what is leadership. And so I started to think about what are the qualities of a leader, and I came up with a leader is creative, collaborative, cooperative, and compassionate. And a leader, most importantly, knows that they are leading a team and that they are leading a team of creative geniuses, that they're not the genius leading a team of people that are there to support their genius, but they are leading a team of unique creative geniuses. And as the leader, it is their job to nurture and respect and expect and be curious about the genius of those people that they're working with and the genius of the people that they're serving. So it doesn't matter how brilliant a leader is if their team's genius is not applied to that vision. I started to think of this in spontaneous brilliance terms, that in addition to being the player, which you are, and the character, which you are, right? Your soulful self is the player, and the egoic self is the character. You are the playwright of the production that you are creating on this planet. You are writing the story. But you are also the director, and the director's job in the theater is to act as the unifying visionary for the entire production, right? They establish the vision and they guide the entire ensemble of the production on the path of bringing that vision to fruition. The director develops and nurtures and problem solves and collaborates and guides the team through the evolutionary process of learning and discovering that's necessary to bring that production to the stage. Hello, that's the definition of a leader. And when I realized that we are all, as I teach all the time, right? We're all the character and the player and the playwright and the director in our own life production on the great stage of life. And it just amazes me sometimes how the metaphorical, metaphysical guide that we play with here at Spontaneous Brilliance can lay over any situation and the metaphor still works. And it's true in leadership too, right? Like all of a sudden I'm thinking, what makes a leader? And then I'm like, oh, I already wrote a book about that and I didn't even notice. No wonder people are calling me a leadership coach. I didn't get that. I didn't translate the word leader to the word director. But the definition of a leader is one who develops, nurtures, problem solves, collaborates, and guides their team and their resources toward the vision they hold for their company or their enterprise or their endeavor or whatever it may be. So it is the same definition. When you are the leader, you are the director. And whether you are leading in your household, you're leading your family, or you're leading your business. I mean, a lot of times I think when I say the word leadership, it's like everybody who's a solopreneur or a mom or a dad that stays home with the kids, or a teenager that's in high school, anybody that, hears the word leadership and they think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Let me shut this one off, right? She's suddenly not talking to me. Well, no, I'm talking to you. I don't care what your environment is. You have a, say it with me, responsibility to assume a leadership role. That does not mean boss. That does not mean telling everybody what to do, because you are the director. The director holds the vision. The director knows what the message is that they are conveying to the audience, and they know what they're trying to do for, to, and with their audience. They are communication specialists. Good leaders know how to communicate to, for, and about their audience, to, for, and about their colleagues, to, for, and about themselves. All great directors know how to communicate, how to share their vision, and they show up fully in order to do that. They show up with vulnerability and openness and authenticity. It doesn't matter what situation you're in. If you are a good leader, then you're not the one who has to have all the answers, but you're the one that's making sure that the answers get found, that the problems get solved, that everyone is empowered to participate, that the vision is being brought forward. And if we look at this as being the director in every circumstance of our lives, that means whatever enterprise or endeavor we're involved in, whether it's family, whether it's work, whether it's community, whatever it is, how can you show up in that directorial position? And I think one of the most important things that I ever learned about being a good director, I learned from one of my early mentors, Dr. Robert Erickson, who was just my theater dad. And he was a wonderful, wonderful theater historian and directing teacher. And one of the first things he taught me about directing was that directors are the audience's representative before they get there. The director's job is to act in the audience's best interest before they get there. And you might think, okay, well, if I'm a leader in my family, do I have an audience? Well, of course you do. Of course you do. The audience might be your community or your greater family at large or whatever the production is at that moment. How can you show up as a leader? But I think whatever circumstance you're in, do you know the vision that you're trying to communicate to your audience? Do you always act in the best interest of your audience, of your potential clients, of your customers, of the people that you're serving? Are you thinking about putting the audience, putting those you serve first? Because remember, and never forget, that we as players here on the great stage of life, it's always about making the other guy look good, right? It's always about serving your fellow players. Well, your customers, your clients, the people that you serve, those are your fellow players. And if you are thinking from the perspective of a director/leader, then you are acting in their best interest until they receive whatever that service is. You're not creating a production as a director for your own pleasure. And that was a big thing that I learned really young as a director. In my early 20s, I had Doc pushing that idea at me all the time, that your production is not for your own edification or pleasure. That's not the primary reason to do it. You're doing it for the audience. Everyone there is working for the audience's experience. And this got me into some knockdown, drag-out arguments when I got to graduate school, by golly, because there were some of my fellow graduate school directors that would just think that they wanted to try something. They wanted to do a production to see the effect or see how it looked, because they had a cool idea and they just wanted to bring that cool idea to the stage. And I would say to them all the time, then just do it at home in your living room or whatever, but don't charge people to see it when it's just something that you're just flinging out there for the sake of your own moment of like, oh, this would be cool. So I'm going to put it on stage and I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'm going to charge people to come and see it. No, if you're charging people to come and see it, they are paying for an experience, a transformative experience. And it's always about the transformative experience that is pointed at growing and evolving and learning and developing, which is what we're all doing here on the stage, the great stage of life here, right? So why would we waste any experience? Any experience, no matter what our production is, whether it's a company or a family or a community event or whatever it is that we're working on, why would we waste any production opportunity to not have it be a transformative experience for all who participate on any level? So I'm just going to kind of noodle around about what I think the qualities are that a director / leader, that a leader must have. And I think first and foremost, remember that I said that generous actors listen. If you're present, you're truly listening. And a lot of times leaders, that's the first thing they forget. They get so focused on pushing forward that they're not listening. But in a directorial role, you can't bring a production to fruition by just going, ooh, I have this cool idea, and you do this, 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 and then we'll be there. The director has to listen to the other creatives along with them, right? The lighting designer and the set designer and the costume designer and the actors and the stage manager, and everybody has a viewpoint. And the more that you can listen and collaborate, the greater that vision gets. You can't hold tightly to the parameters of the vision, or you're not allowing for the exponential growth of the vision. Leaders have to trust. They have to trust the people they are working with, and they have to trust themselves. Leaders have to have boundaries. They have to have boundaries for themselves. They have to have boundaries for the people they work with. But these are compassionate boundaries. They're based on what's best for everyone. What is the greater good here? Where do the boundaries need to be so that everyone is safe and well? When leaders have boundaries, when leaders have good boundaries, and listen to this one, parents, okay? When leaders have good boundaries, they are very, very good at something that I've brought up in past podcasts. They're very good at saying, is this mine? Is this mine? Because just because something comes floating into your purview, or somebody gets a hangnail or a bad attitude or whatever, or they need a ride here, or they need this thing happen now, or whatever, you have to be able to say, is this mine? Is this mine to do? And if you haven't heard this on a podcast before, this will be your first time. Listen closely. If you have heard it before, repeat along with me. When you ask, is this mine? There is always a second question. If the answer is yes, the next question is, then what's the most loving thing I can do right now? If the answer is no, then the next question is, then what's the most loving thing I can do right now? Okay? So if it is not your circus, not your monkeys at that moment, what's the most loving thing you can do? Maybe it's to walk away. Maybe it's to reframe the situation. Maybe it's to acknowledge what's going on for the other person, but not join the drama. There are lots of times when you can show up as a leader in your own life and not take on the weight or the drama or the whatever that is happening with other people, and therefore stay in alignment with the vision. You stay in alignment with your vision for your own production here on the great stage of life, and you stay in alignment with the vision for what you are creating as a team, whatever that team may be. Leaders also have to have respect. And I don't mean demanding respect. I don't mean saying, everybody who respects me, they're on my good list. Everybody who doesn't respect is on my bad list. That's not respect. That's maybe fear, but it's not respect. But good leaders need respect. They need to have respect for the people that they are leading, for the process of collaboration, for the ideas, for the unique creative genius that exists in every person that they are going through this project with, for their vision. They have to respect their vision, the vision. What is it that we're doing here? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? And respect it and honor it and hold it out in front of you all the time so that you keep bringing it back. And finally, the great leader has to have respect for their audience. We're back to that. So as a leader, you want to be finding the solutions to move things forward. You want to be working to make this world, this great stage of life, a better place. That's what makes people true leaders. You can't do that if you're not encouraging and respecting and honoring the genius in everyone around you. True leaders listen, yes, but they also truly want to know. They have a curiosity. They care about what they are hearing. They care about the people they are hearing it from, and they care about the people they are serving. That requires vulnerability. That requires openness. That requires you sharing yourself. If you have an innate curiosity for the people around you, for the people you might serve, for the people that you care for the people that you don't even know, if you have a curiosity about the people that you share this great stage of life with, then you cannot stay just focused on yourself. You will notice those around you more if you cultivate your curiosity, if you cultivate your awareness. There we have it. Huge characteristic of leadership. Heightened awareness. It's not just that you're listening. It's not just that you're curious. It's not just that you're seeing, but you are truly aware. You are open to the impact of what is coming to you through these other humans that are sharing the great stage of life with you at this moment. What they are bringing to the production, if you are truly recognizing and respecting their unique creative genius, and you know in every fiber of your being that what they are contributing is valuable, even when you're like, how does that fit? If you give it space, ideas can grow. Please, please, please always remember and never forget that leadership is never about blocking. Okay? Never, ever, ever. Just like the universe never blocks, a leader never blocks. You don't have to. You don't have to. Your offer can shift the direction of someone else's offer without annihilating it or negating it. You can yes and anything as a leader. You can say, okay, I heard that. That's a good idea. I don't think we can use it in this circumstance, but I'm going to hold on to it for this circumstance. Those of you that have read Spontaneous Brilliance, and I think I talked about this in another podcast, but I told the story of my friend Nancy Lee Painter and her parenting skills, which are off the hook amazing. When she was just in her early 20s, she had 2 little girls, and we were visiting them, and we were all running around. All the adults were running around like crazy. We were trying to get out of the house. We had places to be, things to do, and places to be. So the girls were left by themselves, and they were like 3 and less than 1. And we come downstairs, and the little 3-year-old had drawn all over her sister with little markers, like completely her face. Thank God she didn't get any in her eyes, but she made an art project out of her little sister. They were both so beaming. And the older one's like, look, Mommy, look what I did. And Nancy went, oh, and I mean, I wasn't a parent at that time. I don't know how I would have responded, but Nancy just said, "Oh, honey, that's beautiful. How about next time we do that on paper because we're going to have to wash that off, sissy, and it's maybe not safe, but, and just turned it into a positive, but kept telling her how beautiful it was. That was yes-anding that situation because the first thing that came out of her mouth was, "That's beautiful." And we can't do that anymore. Okay. So in that way, she so empowered that child to know that what she had created was lovely. It's just the context was off. And I guarantee you that if you truly listen to the ideas that are being offered to you in the pursuit of any vision when you are leading, they are all of some kind of value. All of them. It's up to you to take, you guessed it, responsibility for how you are going to then offer back. How are you going to yes, thank you, and always remember the yes, thank you, and the thank you part. Yes, and everybody's got that one nowadays. But yes, thank you, and that you appreciate it, that you are grateful for it. Because sometimes it is a very precious offer to the person making the offer, or a very vulnerable offer to the person making the offer on your team. And it will not cost you anything to include it, and if necessary, redirect it or set it off to one side, or include it and thrill in it. There are times when you can over-accept something and turn it into a massively beautiful moment. I've told this story before too, with my student who had a seizure disorder. And in an improv circle, that was my first time ever working with him and a bunch of kids with some severe developmental disabilities, I knew just, I'd been told, and I knew from just a little bit of interaction with him, when I got to him, it was going to be a problem. When I got to him in this circle story we were telling, I knew he was going to shut me down. He had a tendency to go, "What?" when he didn't want to respond to somebody or he didn't want to participate. And so we went around this circle and we got this whole story told, and we had Morgan Freeman and some monkeys on a motorcycle on another planet, and it was crazy wild, and it was a great story, and we had a lot of momentum, and we had all this stuff, and I'm running around like a crazy person around this circle, recapping the story every time, and I get to him, and I go, "Okay, so we've got this and this and this and this and this and this," and he just looked at me and went, "What?" And I went, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." And all the kids in the circle are like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "That was the best example of blocking I have ever seen. That was amazing. We are going to make him our master blocker. We are going to make him in charge of teaching us all what blocking is so we can know not to do it. Isn't that wonderful?" Now, that kid turned out to be just amazing. He was extraordinary, but he was so used to being negated, shut down, not listened to, because it took time for him to get his ideas out, that he had just gotten into the habit of shutting everybody else down just for sport. You could see it in his eyes. You could see the playful look back in the back of his eyes. He was a little impish about the "what" thing. He just wanted you to leave him alone. He just wanted to take the power of the situation. But by empowering him, by acknowledging what he was really good at, and I was not making that up, man, that is one master blocker right there. That guy knew how to do it. And so if you're running a company and you've got a master blocker, you've got somebody who just wants to shut it all down for whatever reason, one, try to discover what the reason is, why they're used to habitually shutting it down. But also see what you can learn from that. What happens if you ask them to collaborate with you on how not to create something, a situation, a confrontation, a collaboration that they feel compelled to shut down? Find a way to invite them to collaborate with you on how to miss that step of the habit pattern that exists. Because it's always habit. If we are habitually blocking, it's a habit of protection. So what are they protecting? When you are leading and you have team members that are blocking, then you have the ability to compassionately bring them out of that pattern. That's all it is. They don't have to be bad in your eyes or anyone else's because they're blocking. Remember that we block primarily out of fear. And so what is it that they're afraid of? Are they afraid this isn't going to work? Are they afraid you're not going to need them when it's done? Are they afraid that you don't know what you're doing, or that the vision's not good enough, or that the audience won't show up, or whatever? And by audience, I mean customers, clients, whatever. Are they afraid that the future is not what they hope it will be? There are a billion things. Are they afraid of something that has nothing to do with this situation and yet it's translating over? Remember that when you are a leader, you have necessarily created community. So you have if you will, the entire cast of the production and the entire crew of the production, and that is a community. They are not there to be controlled by you. They are there to be nurtured and supported and cheerled by you to find their way through collaboration to bringing the production, whatever it is, to fruition. But they have to know that as you all discover answers together, that they are safe and that they can trust and that their ideas are not going to be blocked. Remember that you don't have to block either. A leader does not have to have all the answers. A leader helps their team to find the answers, to discover the answers, to create the answers. A leader does not have all the answers. A director does not have all the answers of the production. The director holds the vision and brings everyone together by helping them to understand and have faith in the vision. But it is not your job to have all the answers, to know everything. It is never your job. Never, ever. From the time you're born till the time you exit the planet, not your job to have all the answers. It is your job to be compassionately collaborating to find the answers that are in the best interest of all. That's it. That's what leading is. Okay? You're not here to block. You're here to, as Mario Saletti would say, find the love. You got to find the love in every idea, in every thought, in every circumstance. Find the love that creates that compassionate community. Find what that other person loves. Find what your audience, your customers, your clients love. Find what your children love. Find what your partner loves. See the love in them. Every day, you have got to fall in love with the vision. You've got to find the love in every moment. You cannot be a leader and not hold the love and keep looking for the love, and every day look for the love. And remember, embrace those obstacles. Obstacles are not blocks. Obstacles are the way that this vision is going to grow. Obstacles are the way that you are going to transcend, that you are going to get stronger, that you are going to get better, that the chunky pieces are going to get kind of brushed off the sides of this vision as it gets better and better and better. You are the unifying visionary for whatever this production is that you're leading. And if you find the love and you hold the love, you will have compassion. You will have great boundaries. You will have great trust. and you will have great respect. And you will have a successful production on the great stage of life, whatever your stage looks like. I love you guys very much. Go out there and lead. Love, 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 and have a glorious, beautiful, blessing-filled day. Take care. The Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast is brought to you by Miracle Communications Group. Our producer is Michelle Oneida. Sound engineer is Corey Michaels at Corey Michaels Productions. Music is composed by Rex Miller. And I'm your host, Sandra Kavanaugh. You can learn more about me and all things Spontaneous Brilliance at sandrakavanaugh.com or spontaneousbrilliance.com. And please join the conversation here at the Spontaneous Brilliance Podcast by emailing us at podcast@spontaneousbrilliance.com.